Okay. Sandy. And Brandon? But what about Brandon? Okay.
So we didn't have a meeting in May, did we? No meeting in May.
That's correct.
Okay, I didn't miss that meeting.
Okay. Alrighty. Everybody ready? Okay. So we'll call this meeting to order at 6:14. Hey, Brandon. Okay. So we'll move down to public comment. Do we have any public comments tonight? Go ahead.
Good evening, Doug Lang, 262 South Carroll Road. First, unrelated to DDA, but certainly having to do with the city of Villa Rica, I would like to welcome and thank Mr. Reese for being back in the fold. Temporary, interim, whatever it is, we need you, and delighted and thankful for your past time that you've dedicated to the city and what you'll be doing in the future. Thank you.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I guess what I wanted to talk about, I didn't have anything prepared, but I'm not going to give up an opportunity to talk. I guess what I'd like to see for the downtown is the city to be able to use whatever authorities are available to them through code enforcement to have the landlords maintain their buildings and get them up to code ordinance. Forgive me if I'm not using the right terms, but a couple things come to mind is, buildings that are in disrepair, that are out of code, seems to me that the city should be able to enforce what is legally available to them. Of course, a perfect example, everybody, the building right across the street where Gabe's was, unrentable, prime real estate, turn of the century, historic building, and it's sitting empty and maybe, excuse me, unnecessarily. I hope, unnecessarily. And I understand, all sorts of stories go around, so I don't know, but I understand it's something with plumbing or structural or something, but it's not a cosmetic thing, and I think it's something that we can do. I would also recommend that, that the city get a list, I'm sure they have it, a list of their properties, and before they go after landlords, get the 2 or 20 properties, however many properties the city owns, and make sure whether it's butterballs or planting grass or fixing something because if it were me and I was a landlord, the very first thing I would do, first of all, I'd keep my property up to date. But if I didn't, I would say, well, look at your properties. You've got property that's in disrepair or unattractive. And so I would, would like the city to get their properties in order, make them look as nice as possible, and then go after these. I always say there's, 5 families that own half of Villa Rica. Of course, that's not exactly right, but I think you all know what I mean. I think they've got the means financially to do what needs to be done, and I think the city just needs to do their part. And if we're all interested in the same thing, which is we always say the revitalization of the downtown, I think we should just, even if you can't make businesses come here, you can certainly make the city more appealing, physically attractive, and safer by getting things up to code. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'm Jeff Reese. I live at 2610 Rainey Road, Temple, Georgia.
Glad to be back. Thank you, Mr. Lang, for the introduction. For those of you that know, I've been here. This is not my first rodeo or my first time here in Villa Rica. In fact, I feel like a yo-yo sometimes. I actually retired from the city as the deputy city manager, came back and ran for mayor and won, and now I'm back as the city manager for some interim time to be discussed with the mayor and council. So it's very appropriate that this is my first public meeting back with the city, because this is the heart of the city. This main street and the folks that are represented up here represent what's best about Villa Rica, and that's its people. But I am very much in favor of seeing the downtown business district and those businesses and places here in town prosper, because again, you are the heart of the city. And everything else may come after the city, but I think the city always needs to remember that you are the folks that started the ball rolling, so to speak. And that's a recreation. When you're in recreation, something always has to do with a ball, or So, but anyway, I just wanted to quickly introduce myself and to say that I'll be coming to many of your meetings. I can't promise you I'll be at all of them, but I'll always be available. I'll have a city phone, and I'll get y'all my phone number so that you can call me anytime you need to. Let me know if I can help you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Moving down to May 2024 financial report by the treasurer, Michael Rickman.
I think it's the same every single month, but we'll repeat it again. Currently checking Downtown Development Authority, $35,207.86. Petty cash, $17.45. Total assets, $35,225.31. There is still the liability due to Villa Rica in the amount of $49,000. Yes. Yeah, please.
I checked with finance. I knew I had seen these minutes before, but, back when they were going to turn Butterballs, the gas station, into the Welcome Center, the city set up a $250,000 line to the Downtown Development Authority line of credit. There was a $49,000 draw from that line of credit to pay for architect work and plans for that Welcome Center. And that's what that $49,000 is.
Okay.
It just never was paid back to the city.
Okay.
One thing, I don't think the DDA doesn't have the money to pay it back, but it just sits on the books, but that's what that is.
Thank you.
I do have a quick question regarding that, Ms. Alyssa. I know we've talked about this a couple times, but I know you were going to look into it potentially. It's been a while. I don't recall the last time we had the conversation of actually trying to see, someone has said that was possibly going to get forgiven. So I do not know. Okay, I would have to go back and check my notes to see when we spoke about that, because it's been a year or two. Definitely on that. So, okay, sorry. Back to you, Michael.
Yep. That's really it. I mean, the total liabilities and equity, $35,225.31. And that is it right now.
All righty. Any questions regarding that? Anybody? Okay. We'll move down to number 4 for approval of April minutes by Ms. Barbara Daniel. Do we have
Need
any?
to make an
Yep.
amendment to that, because, sorry, Bradford. We just need to correct his name.
Correct name, okay.
Good catch.
Okay. Do I do an approval still for the minutes, right, after we correct that? Okay. So an approval after the correction for the April minutes? Do I have
I'll make a motion
a motion? Okay.
after the approval of the name.
Do I have a second?
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry, who was that?
Second.
Okay, Brandon. Brandon. Okay, everybody in favor? All in favor? Okay. All right, moving down to number 5, downtown updates from the mayor. Ms. Leslie.
Okay, so it would have been great if we could have sat at a table. Apparently, there's not enough money to buy y'all name tags. I'm sorry. I was looking up there. I forgot how new y'all were. Really, it just every day. I don't know. A week feels like a month. I think it's just we're moving at such a pace, and so much happens. Anyway, you remember when David Rogers came in, and he was chairman of the VRDA, Villa Rica Development Authority. He said, you know what? There's no reason we can't work together. They have been primarily focused on the industrial area, but due to some, I guess, the need for what commercial, think about O'Charlie's being gone, the downtown, everything else, there was some. Is this being recorded for quality assurance?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's just say enough people talked to realize that we needed to have a better connection, not just amongst ourselves, but with Carroll Tomorrow. And we have limited industrial area, right? Like right now, where are we going to go build? Where's the property for it? But we're paying fees to Carroll Tomorrow. We need to do something. And so David was Villa Rica Development Authority. He was the chairman. He's moving off and will be in a non-voting position because he's going to be outside the city. So he's basically getting off all the boards that he was on. Dale Schwarzkopf you're currently the chairman now, right? You've already been voted in. He is the chairman of Villa Rica Development Authority, and he'll share a little bit about what we're emphasizing on downtown, because what I decided to do based on some very good advice from a 4-star general that lives in the city was take some good advice about surrounding myself with people. He wasn't real specific, but people with vision. And when you think about experience, there's people that have a lot more knowledge than I do. If I can get them in the same room, we can get somewhere. And that's part of what we're working on. So we put together an informal group. We don't have a name yet, but we drew together some people that we knew loved downtown, had connections either themselves with, they develop things, they know about revitalizing areas, or just people that were visionary. Alan Martinez is part of that group too, and a small business owner. You're in there, and the idea was to get people, even without having a connection to an economic development director, which we don't have in the city. So it's not like we can go call on staff, hey, help us do this economic development. Well, why would we have to wait? Why would we wait those months? So let's start putting together private business people that know how to get things done. So that's what we've begun. That's why you'll hear the name of Gabe's come up. With Jeff now on board, who knows every nook and cranny of the city and knows the background and history behind a lot of things way beyond my years of being here. But there are people we've now brought together there that I think we can make some progress. And then when we start working, you know, y'all come on board. And we use both the Villa Rica Development Authority and the downtown. And then a few of us overlap with Carroll Tomorrow, Development Authority, that I think all of us working together, we can do wonders for downtown. And we've got to do some things out in the industrial area too. I heard there was even simple things like they come in, they can't find their way around. There's no signage back there. I mean, so some of it's just simple stuff we need to do. It's the low-hanging fruit that we could do like that. And Elisa's given me a little bit of an update on our entry signs coming in. So you guys probably know more about that than I do, and the wayfinding signs. But let me just tell you this too. So it's a little bit off topic, but you're going to want to know because Jeff alluded to it. Interim for an indeterminate amount of time, isn't that what they used in the media? So everybody's going, what does that mean? So I know everybody's asking the question, so it's not, I cannot say where the council is on this. I can tell you where I am on this. I feel like if we, when Jeff begins on the 1st, on the 8th, our deputy city manager comes in. All right, that Diana DeSanto. Yes, I have to remember because I keep wanting to say DeSantis. DeSanto, she'll be starting, I believe it's the 8th. If we can get those people in and start showing that we're stable and start moving forward and just calm ourselves by addressing some of the fires in the city. Somebody thought I was talking about literal fires, and I go, no, no, no. When I said dumpster fire, I don't mean like a dumpster. I mean like it's worse than that. But we're dealing with it now. We've even been able to calm things by putting the brakes on a couple things. We have a moratorium on multifamily housing right now. That's go ahead. We'll take anything we can get. You know, it's like I was like, you know, I try to follow meeting with proper decorum. That's a joke. Last Tuesday. So I can't get onto them when people start applauding because we're like, whoa, okay, wait a second here. We're going to have to, you know, have first responders come in. But I think when we get things calm and we show that we're moving forward and that we're determined that we're going to make Villa Rica, not that it's not a great place, it is. We've just struggled, right? And we've lost businesses downtown. We haven't kept things up looking as well as they should to show that we're proud of our city. Just the baskets going up. Little things, the new Christmas lights, little touches when I drive through a town, whether it's over in Claxton, getting through the back way of Hinesville, I can tell those little towns, they aren't big and fancy, they don't have tons of money, but you can tell by what they do to their main street whether they have pride in their city. And we need to get back there. So I'm going to let Dale share. Dale, if you'll come up and share a little bit about even where we are with Gabe's. I have not had time to contact Israel, who's working on Jane's. I drove by there yesterday because my husband didn't know. I go, I want you to see this. It's happening. Look, I drove around the back, drove around the front. So when people start seeing that, they'll believe us again. And y'all too, because I know y'all were wondering, when are we going to do something other than talk about things?
Right.
Come on up, Dale. Share a little bit about, even if you want to share a little bit about your background of what you know, why you're part of the team we put together, and what you're doing now, and an update. Thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting me to speak tonight. It's been very, very, very important that I let you know what the Industrial Development Board's goals are going to be. Our goal is to partner up with the Downtown Development Authority.
If you get a little closer to the mic. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
getting older, I can't hear very
Okay,
well.
how's this? This still better? Okay,
Yes, sir.
all right. What our goal is to marry the needs of downtown with the needs of Villa Rica as a whole. Right now, our biggest industry is building apartments, stick-built homes. From you're looking at Mirror Lake to downtown to south of downtown. The moratorium that's been placed on is a good idea, but not necessarily one that's going to be there forever. For a growing area, we have to grow. That's our nature. We're on an interstate. Our goal is to help the partnership grow a little bit. By this I mean we have some buildings out at our industrial development building that are vacant right now, 50 to 60,000 square feet. What we're seeing is a heavy interest in that type of building to come in, retrofit, and take it on, so that we can bring our job base up. The next thing that I think that we're trying to do is what the mayor has suggested. Okay. There we go. Sorry.
How's that?
There we go. Is it a little better? Okay, I can hear the echoes, so that's good. All right. One of the things that we've talked about is the looking at the building restaurants. That's the key thing that's missing here in Villa Rica. And to take the downtown area and actually be able to modify it with a major restaurant. It doesn't have to be a name restaurant, it just be named to the local citizens. Games would be a great opportunity for us to take that movement in the right direction. We have the financial power to help move this. We've talked to The Carol Tomorrow people, we work very closely with that particular group, Brian Dill and his organization. We're trying to lay a game plan so that we can go to Gabe's and say, listen, here's what we'd like to offer you to come back to Villa Rica. That would be with Downtown Development Authority, would be with the Downtown Industrial Development Board, it would be with Gabe's, it would be with anybody that we could put to get that restaurant back into our mainstay. That's one of our goals. Our goal is to try to get an answer from this group no later than September of this year. If not, then we'll move on and try to find somebody else. But the goal is we need restaurants. And so that's our number one goal. We also need to create some more jobs, because what's happening as the apartment industry is going crazy here in Villa Rica, as well as new homes at Mirror Lake. We've got to find jobs for these people, or they're going to go to Douglasville. So what our goal is to try to bring that AMI up so that we can bring people back to Villa Rica to work for our organizations here. Do you have any questions?
I don't. I mean, this is pretty much all we talk about, so I'm on board with you guys.
Well, you have another friend. That's
Right, yes.
involved.
Yeah, our resources and reach and combined with everybody else's, I think, can only enhance the possibility of something actually happening. So I would say anything we can do to help out, we're all aboard talking about and collaborating with and joining forces. So please let us know.
Well, that's the point. Is the next meeting, I'd like to give you an update on where we're at with it. If you could give me a few minutes next meeting, then that would be a very positive thing.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you again very much for your time.
Thank you.
And forgive me, I failed to mention, Michael's part of that team as well, and so is James, and Kip Berry. If you're not familiar with who Kip Berry is, think of Berry Pharmacy, Chat and Chew, the family that was there, and they're the ones, that family, he and his sister, Valerie Wilhelm, General Wilhelm, is all part of the family that restored that back to its original appearance prior to the explosion. And Kip also develops things.
He's a big developer.
Yeah, so I mean, these people are in our community. So we need to take advantage of them. So he addressed the restaurants. Carol Tomorrow is wanting to assist us. Like I said, it used to be mainly industrial, but now we're talking about more commercial and even smaller business. They know we need that as much, and it would be my passion. I don't know about y'all, but I think we, in Villa Rica, we'd probably find a consensus on this, is that big industry is great, and Walmart and big box store. I know I got to go to Home Depot, I got to go Lowe's, all that. But there is nothing like small business in your town where you walk in and everybody knows your name. It may not be, but you know what I'm saying. You walk in, people know one another. They're the ones that donate to the teams and to the school teams or the recreation leagues or whatever it is. That personal contact, because when you go to a city, I drive through, and I mean, is our first thing like, oh, I want to go to Belk, or I want to, well, you can get that a lot of places. That's not a slam against Belk. You can get, and the big, the industry, unless you got to go there for something you just really need. What makes the city unique is those little shops and stores that are there and aren't found everywhere else, and it's unique to your city. So I don't really have anything else at this point, but I hope it will encourage you to see that we've got people on the team, that we've got 2 architects just in that group. And we've just been kind of doing this on our own, but we've got the overlap with those of us that are connected to Carol Tomorrow. So we'll have some formal connections as well, since we don't know what to call ourselves yet. It's just bringing together private citizens. I'll give you an example, even Alan Martinez. He was giving me an idea of a vision he had, and he shared it in one of our last meetings. I won't tell you exactly what it is, because sure enough, somebody will get on social media and go, well, when is that happening? But he was just sharing something he'd really like to see downtown that he thought would do well, and he gave me ideas. And so just in talking to him, I'm like, Alan, you need to be on the team. Okay. You need to call Kip or call Dale, and let's put you in the group. Same thing. You care about downtown, you own a business downtown, and that's how we started putting it together, is just business people that can make it happen. That's all I got, unless y'all have a question.
I don't have questions today,
So, but, yeah.
Okay.
but I will.
Questions for the mayor, any concerns or issues?
There's lots of concerns, but I'll wait.
I have a question, Mayor. We speak of the restaurants, and I think the gentleman mentioned something about funding or what have you. Do we have like a committee or a think tank that would talk about the cuisines, square footage? Is it takeout, afternoon, evenings, dinner time? Because that's a part of the vision. We got to really have that. What are we targeting? We're thankful for the Mexican, but what about, some Thai or Chinese or what have you? Do we have a group that's recruiting for those type of restaurants?
We're not there yet, okay? Now, we have, is it Thai Basil? Somebody's
Thai
talked
Basil.
about, I haven't been, or they want, okay, and I know I have to remember that I'm on a mic here of something that's going to be recorded, but I haven't been in there, and I've got to go, because I've heard people talking about it. So it's not downtown, but it's here.
And they just expanded it.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay, that's a positive sign. In this economy, when you can see a business that's not only, popular, but they're able to expand. Bell Street, burritos. And sometimes you go, oh, well, it might be along the Mexican line, but it's different. It's still different. And so I'm don't want to say that we should be open to everything, like another Dollar General.
Or a
but
Mexican restaurant.
but we're just not there yet. I think right now, getting back, if we can even get Gabe's back, that's a big deal. And because it is different. Is there another one in town? No competition if they're going to do the same thing. If we end up with a sit-down pizza place right here down, I'm being told that's what that's going to be. That'll be great. So I don't think the targeting, that will come, and that's other people's strength, not mine, of how you do that recruitment. Now, I will say this, I'm going to be in Douglas County tomorrow, in Douglasville, meeting with the commissioner, some other people. We're kind of in a big group tomorrow, so I can listen to the update of what they're doing. But I'm thinking about that empty Publix and what's going to happen to it. That's on the Douglas County side. So that's not going to be a restaurant, but what is it going to be? If there's a way we can have any influence on that, I want to find out. And guess what? They have economic development director over there.
Owner of the shopping center.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know their phone number unless you
And so
buy their app.
we may not have the staff to cover that, but it's Douglas County side, they do. So that's who I'm looking for tomorrow, Chris Pumphrey and people like that. Their Chamber of Commerce person, Sarah Ray. We've communicated a lot in email, but I have not even actually met her. So tomorrow we'll be hanging out a little bit together, and then there's going to be just a small group of, you'll need to go on that one too. Well, I don't know when it's going to be, but we'll work out on just getting together the vision for the future, because they still represent at least 40% of the city, right? And and that whole shopping center. There's limited over there when you look at, there's a few things to eat and all, but if you want to go anywhere for breakfast, unless it's donuts, there's nowhere you're going on that side of town. Of course, we'd like to get them down here.
Yes.
But anyway, did that, yeah, probably more than you wanted, huh? Yeah, we'll get there. See, right now we can't be too picky about target. We're like, will you please just come, right? But I think we've got to make it where we look welcoming, and then we'll work on recruitment.
I work on
Yeah.
recruitment every day I go out to eat. I try to bring businesses down here. I ask them every time. I'm like, would you guys like to open in Villa Rica?
Oh,
So,
and Barbara talked about this, and I don't know if we have it yet. We were talking about what we need online. Everything needs to be on there that says what buildings we have, what the footage is of them, what they're equipped with, if they're already equipped with a kitchen, all those details, so when a business goes looking, they can get on there and see that. That's over my head as to how all that works, but I know it needs to exist, and it did exist at one time. Are we good to go, so they can get on there and look? Okay, because at one time that was, thank you so much, because you have gotten things back up to par that were missing for a while. I so appreciate that.
Well, the city is getting a new website, so once they get that website, we will probably integrate the downtown Villa Rica website into it because I can't even touch it. We have to hire somebody to work on it, which I don't like, and pay them $400 a month, so that's gonna help work. That's gonna happen later in the fall, so. But the list of vacant buildings, we do keep that on that downtown Villa Rica list. Now, it doesn't have the square footage, but you can go to the Carroll County Tax Assessment, and it will have the square footage, but I'm not sure if it's correct, but we don't have that much information, but we do have the list of those.
okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments? No?
I want to recognize, and Michael Rickman, he was announced the Downtown Development Authority Volunteer of the Year
Oh.
at the Volunteer Banquet last year. So,
Good for you.
yeah, really appreciate what he's doing. He's working on, the plan to redevelop the Prospector Park with the gold miner statue, which I've been told by the current administration, no, but we would, Yeah.
We did the sketch, I think.
it's
but-
just a sketch.
Yeah, just the
Yeah.
sketch right now.
It's as you go out there, and of course, we're gonna include the sale of the bricks again. We finally found the list of who's bought a brick years ago.
Yep.
We found that list. We thought it was missing.
So we,
Ellen had it and Carl Peabody had it, but that'll include that on top of the stage instead of, yeah. Yeah, it's in storage.
I actually have a great list from the
Yeah.
original creation of it, back
Yeah.
when I was 12 years old.
But he's done a lot for the city and just really, when we were looking at the Methodist Church property last year, so the city finally bought it, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congrats,
Well
Michael.
deserved.
Yes. Okay. Well, if there's no other questions or comments, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I got one other thing.
Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Sorry. So I think we spoke last time about an effort to like you're saying, low-hanging fruit. Are there things in the city that we as a DDA can start really, really small and like visual things that actually happen? So, we had talked last month about possibility of, can we put, this sounds sad, one sidewalk to go across the railroad? We don't even have that. We have none of that. Nothing that's legal and safe that anybody can safely cross. You have to go in between railroad ties or wait for, walk into oncoming traffic. So it seems like a simple task, but it's not. And so I reached out to Norfolk Southern, our representative here, and of course it's their job to say, oh no, you can't do anything. But I think he's annoyed by me by now. And so he sort of responded back that they will, quote, consider a crossing across right here. And they gave us the guidelines to go by and submit for that. And it just requires, I believe the next step when I read the guidelines was just a preliminary engineering letter. And you probably have more to talk about that. But just to say, I think we got a little bit of traction, and maybe there's something that's scale-wise that we can at least say, hey, Villa Rica, there's a safe way to cross the tracks. That sounds sad, but at least can we do that at a small scale, get some things done? But I know you may have more to say to it as well, so.
He talked to him today. I didn't know that till just now.
Okay.
Whereas I only emailed back trying to be a cheerleader.
So my first day with the city is July the 1st, right? So I spent 8 hours today working with the city. So one of the calls that I made today, or conversations I had, was with Connor Poe, who just happens to be a friend of mine. Y'all remember the problems that we used to have with trains blocking all the city here? And Connor was the only one that I could ever reach from the president on down that would listen to me. So I had Connor's personal phone number and would text him every time a train blocked the roads. And lo and behold, you know, that sort of cleared up for most of the city anyway, the downtown area. But we do have a proposal, I guess you would say, from Connor Poe. He has agreed to let us cross the track. And can't give you the details of it right now because we're working on some issues with the crossing arm that we have to work through with them. They have to approve that. Anything that crosses that road, basically, they have to approve it. So we've got that, plus another exciting addition to it, which is a kind of a midway crossing that would help as well. So I'm kind of excited. It was a really busy day. I met with a lot of different folks. I got a immersion back into the city by water today, and it was pleasant to get back in that. But I just want to say a couple of things. Since I'm up here, I'm going to never give an elected official a microphone. That's a bad idea. But a couple of really exciting things that are going on downtown. But one thing that I would mention, two things actually that I would mention to you. First of all, there is some movement at the old Butterball property down there to try to finally get something done with that. And so another thing that we're excited about is there's some parking issues. As all of you know, you're never going to get any kind of restaurant, sit-down restaurant. I know y'all struggle with that. So if we're really going to attract other businesses, we're going to have to work on parking downtown because you're never going to attract anybody until you get that. And the second thing is we've got to work on pedestrian-friendly crossings, pedestrian-friendly sidewalks, ways to move people around, because what you really want is a business, in my opinion, the ones we go to. My wife and I travel all over the United States. We're RVers full-time. And so the cities that we're attracted to, by and large, are the ones that we can park, obviously, but that we can walk around the town and sort of go in the curio shops and the restaurants and just see what they have to offer. And one of my best examples ever, if you're an Eagles fan, no doubt you know the lyrics, Standing on a Corner in Winslow, Arizona, right? So my wife and I went to Winslow, Arizona, which was 40-something miles out of the way for our trip, and we pulled our 16,000-pound, 41-foot camper on a two-lane blacktop out of the way just to go down and see we're standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. My point in telling you that story is not to tell you I listen to the Eagles, but we have a golden history in this city. We absolutely do, and we need to exploit that. We need to get people off of I-20, and we need to get them in this city. We need to find a place for them to park and a way for them to walk to these stores. If you build it, they will come. I'm a recreation guy. But it's the same, applies really to everything. But we need to work on those. Those are two initiatives. And somebody mentioned inventory. One thing that I would encourage you to do through the city, through my office or the mayor's office, is to build that inventory of businesses that you have down here. What open stores do you have? If you have open stores, how many square feet are they? I've got at least one business owner locally within 5 miles of here that would probably relocate to Villa Rica if he knew what was here. So you're not going to attract people until they know what you have. So once you put that inventory together, build a video. Pay a company to do a video that you put out on YouTube, or get the word out there. You never know who's going to watch that video and say, "Wow, Villa Rica sounds like a really good place to live." And guess what? That's what brought me here in 1998 was the downtown area. So those are goals that you need to set, I think, for yourself. And I'll help you any way I can. My office will. The employees of Villa Rica will. And you've got a great group up here. You got a great group. So everybody working together, I think it can happen. So
Thank you.
For sure. Has Villa Rica ever thought about a parking deck?
we talked about a parking deck. Parking decks are very expensive. So that would take a major expenditure. And I'm not saying it's out of the question, but I think you have areas probably in this area that would serve as flat parking lots that are a lot less cheaper. So I don't think that's out of the question, but I think it's something we need to look at. Again, if you build it, if we have a problem with parking 5 years from now, that's a great problem to have.
quick question, Mr. Jeff. With the parking, I know we had discussed the back, what used to be like the dump area. I know that was part of like the alleyway project to convert that into a parking. Is that something that's, well, you probably won't know that, but is that something that's still taking place? Because I've seen them clean, but then I see them stop for a long period of time.
They were supposed to be cleaning all that up.
Because I know that was on a timeline too, so I don't know if all that got,
I'll check on the.
Okay.
That was being worked.
yes. And another thing, since we are talking about, real quick, I would, as far as like to make the sidewalks a little bit more walkable, I know we have like the plan and all that, that's supposed to be happening, and I know you guys, thank you for that too, to make all this happen. Even just adding like a temporary like rail, something sturdy on that little hill that we have in the rail, between the railroad tracks, that's the crossing area right now, something where people could just hold on to. I feel that would at least facilitate things, and it would be a less expensive option while we get everything else done. I don't know if that's something that could be talked to them about to be added.
They will not allow that. And let me
Oh,
tell you
okay.
why. So the reason it looks that way, and one of the first things that I tried to get changed when I was the mayor was to work with them and say, look, this is awful. People can't walk down it. Somebody's going to fall. They don't even want it there to start with.
Right.
And if you put a rail there, when their train cars go by, first of all, it's on their property. So they don't want anything in that railway space that a car could get derailed on or anything like that, any kind of traffic.
Okay.
Now, there is, like I said, there is a crossing that we're trying to work with them on.
Right.
And they've been receptive to that, but it won't include a railing. What I hope it includes is a way like switchbacks or something like that to get up that hill, because they're not going to want anything. They were even funny as they took the shrubs out. There used to be a marker there at one time. All that was taken out. So
Okay.
we're pretty much, if you don't know this, we're pretty much at their disposal. They own the right of way all the way to your front door.
Yep.
So they own all that parking all the way up and down through there. So the city has to pretty much comply with what they say. And we have a really good rapport with Norfolk Southern. I can't always say that was the case, but it is the case now. So.
Okay.
And they're
Well,
not in the
you know,
business of
when
selling either, right?
No.
I'm sorry?
They're not in the business of selling either, so.
They're not. And, their theory, I mean, if you look at it from their standpoint, basically, anything that could possibly cause a train to derail costs a lot of money and possibly lawsuits like the one that's is it Chicago where the train derailed, and they're paying millions and millions of dollars in settlements now. So they're really funny about that. In fact, they'll pay cities and counties to close crossings, and they did that on one crossing here in Villarica back when you were with the city. And so they're not really in the crossing business, because I tried that route. I said, look, we would love to cross the track right here, and they said, well, that's our track. So you have to sort of work with them.
Yeah.
And but that is something that we're looking at.
Okay.
Well,
So-
when I did Main Street, Bill Taylor and I worked with the railroad also about that steepness and about crossings, and it was a very firm, that's our property. We were very fortunate they gave us so much to go back and put in the sidewalk that the Main Street Design Committee designed to put in over there. I was just shocked that they let us do that. So they're hard to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but all lines of communication are open, and I'm, they may not like me talking to them, but they'll listen to me anyway.
Well, that's a start. That's a pro.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I was just going to add to that real quick. There was a design that was also done for because that drop off over on the 78 side, with a switchback, as you said, former employee Chris Montesinos did a design. I don't know if y'all have it or have seen it. You've probably seen it, I'm guessing. And the idea, I think he's even working on, there was a rail grant or something. I would swear there was something in the works. Sandra Morris, who's doing our grant, she would know if that's something that's still in the works. But the sales pitch to them was this: at this point, people can cross willy-nilly anywhere on the tracks. If we can provide a safe place there and then put up like iron railing for a distance down both sides, that would be something they would like. And there was a visual, I think Hapeville has an example. I didn't make that tour down there, but they have an at-grade crossing on their, in their downtown, and they do have the iron fencing. I saw pictures of it, but.
And I could say, reading through their Norfolk Southern's development standards, they illustrate that very clearly of what is. So parallel walk paths, pedestrian, vehicular, I mean, not vehicular, but bicycle, but it has to have regulations like walls and fencing that are there. So it's allowed, but obviously they want to know what it is, and it's done by their standards, so. Yep.
I'm for it. Okay. Anyone else? Comments? Okay. Well, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. A second?
I'll second.
Everyone in favor? Okay. Thank you, guys. 6:59.
So much.